Okay, so it's still the same day, but I've gone back and forth about recording or whatever for today, and then I kept thinking, oh, I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll talk about it in the morning. I'll talk about it in the morning, and then it was just getting to be too much. I couldn't, I couldn't keep going. Things are just, it is weird. Like things are getting weirder and weirder. Like, don't I even look like I'm moving weird? Doesn't things look weird? Like it is so trippy in the way things sound. And so, this morning, Stella's just harassing me. She's harassing me right now. She was harassing me to go outside earlier. So I finally did. And I've been out there, for days working. And it's so weird because it's super, super dark. It has like been super dark and really, really cold, but really weird. Like it is weird outside. And then, and I had been out there doing, like, there's so much stuff, like, you don't want to say stuff because you don't know for sure. But it is like, I know things because I just know them. I hear them. I feel them. I just can think about something and I know. And it is trippy because I have heard some people say this stuff and, and some of the stuff that they know, they get confirmation, I'm looking forward to some of that stuff. But, so there was just some things, that I was certain about, while I'm out there, just working and working and working, and other people are sitting around watching. And then, he came out, the neighbor, the young guy who, I don't know if I'm assuming laid off, came out and started doing a bunch of work yesterday afternoon after I had been out doing all that. And then today he's been out there. Stella was harassing me, so I went out and started doing some stuff. Just there's not that much to do because I'm telling you, my yard is pristine. It's fucking weird. Middle of December. And so then, but she wanted to go out, so I don't know, I went out and just did some like whatever little stuff. And then he came out and he's all geared up and he's been out there just working and working and working. So he has been cleaning all their place up. And I was thinking, that's really cool. And I there's a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, they're always showing me and telling me all these things that are just really cool, how things can work together in such a positive way and stuff. But, I'm hoping that just him being out there and doing stuff like that and seeing just the maintenance that is needed to keep your life in your home, in your homestead, your own life, without having to go out and work. And I got to have some good conversations about, just that in itself. My eyes are really, really bad. And the sneezing all the time. Like, what in the hell am I sneezing? Hard sneezing too, where it's coming out of the depths of my skull. Another thing when you talk about earlier, where I was talking about the mental health situation here, with the, crazy, because in this reality, you're crazy. And the more this reality is separating in that reality to those people, you're crazy. And especially you start seeing like the stuff I say. So, I had a lot of stuff about that. Okay, now I'm skipping around too much. And then, it's like I'm going too fast and skipping, and I got to slow down. I've got to learn some of these things to be better at it or something. Maybe that is why some people go and shut their eyes and cover their eyes and stuff like that. Maybe is why they can do that. I don't know. Mine is like a lot of stuff. And it's just nonstop. It's just nonstop. All day long, and that's why it starts being like too much. But anyways, with the energy and stuff, like when you're putting that energy out and going out and doing that, and then how that energy spreads. And so he was coming out and working, and I was thinking, man, that is cool. It was for him to kind of, while he's off, to maybe start recognizing what it takes to just run your house and stuff, because it's a changing in priorities. See, all it is this changing in priorities that has to occur in someone's mind. So they start really looking at things in like a different way. And so all these little things, I'm always noticing like that kind of stuff, like that will get them to kind of open their minds more. And one thing that they have been showing me a lot is like how I've been a catalyst so much in people, in my life through different relationships and stuff. Like whatever the relationship was, if it was good or bad, that it was a catalyst to something changing. So it was a movement in their life. And so, we have that, all of us are that to all different people, but it's just a part of what, kind of like how my guides have been showing me and teaching me things or whatever. And, it really is, we have such an effect on people. But, I've been talking to two of my daughters today. One, my oldest daughter, she is not wanting to talk to me at all. And I think she is having the hardest time, I think, on the spiritual thing. And this is just trippy, because there's just like a bunch of things that are really trippy, because it's like the stuff coming in so fast of what they'll show me and what I'll go in and what I'll talk about or say. And then they just start bombarding me with more things about it and stuff. Like one of the TikToks I just saw, that was one of the motivators on this too, was this guy explaining about, there's two, I saw two, both of them talking about this whole thing about white people being hybrids and white people being created in these, it was like this pod people, this whole Cabbage Patch pod thing, growing people and stuff. And then the whole thing with the orphan trains and all of it, like there's more people putting it together, or there's more of us tapping into the energy of that knowledge, or however it all works together. So it is all in how we perceive, like what senses we're using. I think like how, you have different senses. So perception on like a spiritual level, it seems to be something, because it really trips me out, is like a lot of things I can say, and you have to use words, like, because we don't have another way to communicate, right? And so then, but I just know mine is developing, the telepathy. I mean, I know all the time what is going to happen. I mean, you just tap into it. It's just tapping into yourself. It's quieting yourself, because people don't realize how much of the garbage going on is self-created. It's like creating your own inner world of drama to keep you distracted or something. Like that, people don't want to quiet themselves and really look at things in an introspective, more dissect things way, in a more observant kind of way, which, speaking, I'm going to be skipping around, there's way too much of it. And another one where I keep seeing videos is tons of people talking about the crowd around. Like a lot of people are talking about it. And there was somebody, and I think they were a psychic. Everybody's waking up to their psychic abilities. But so they were talking about, I swear it was something with prophecy they were talking about, but about all of these watchers coming, but that we have all of these, all these demons have ascended on us. Like this is the war. On that, leaning on the scale of fear of the unknown, fear of the supernatural and spiritual, fear of aliens, fear of all that stuff. It always goes into this really, dramatic kind of situation. But so the there's a whole group of people. Let me think of what I was going to say. Oh yeah. So all of the beings that are around, they're around because they are, like what I had said, this person was saying, they're tapping in like to our energy. Is like a read on us. But the other people, like what I was talking about earlier, how I was explaining it. So other people are explaining, they're tapping into this energy thing and but there's demons, and so they're like looking for people to take over. So the people who are, like how we see the separation between the people who like know how to behave and the people who don't. They don't realize that the people who are tapping into the dark energy don't realize that. I keep saying, there's a lot of times it can feel good to you. It's a high. So, it is something that is hard to recognize. And that's why this world works so well with this distraction and stuff. And I went back there and turned on the lights because she's just sitting there, just crying. There is a lot of beings around. But so some people are saying that they're here to take over people's bodies. And so people are going to get a lot worse. There's people saying 2023 is going to be so much worse because there's going to be so many of these demons that are all around us are going to be then taking over bodies. So that is kind of the separation too with the two energies. I don't know about, to me, it's all energy. Like, I don't look at energy like how some people look at it as demons and they give it a whole face and all that stuff. I look at it as energy that is either, it's positive or negative. It's dark or light. And both work together. So it isn't like you have one that you need to fear, where people right now are so fearful of energy. And so that they create the thing they fear, because I don't know, today they were explaining stuff to me so cool about stuff, how what we're learning and expanding on. Whoa, Stella, just lay down, honey. She just fell. Honey, let me finish doing this, okay? You need to relax. She's been like a wreck. And she was outside barking and stuff. Like, there's a tenseness around. Like, I swear, I really think, like... And I just saw things with the money thing. So how it's being pushed now is what they're going to say is you have to have gold in order to buy oil. And so that's going to cut us off. Who knows how far this is going to go. But how far they can drag it out. Because I can't believe they've drug it out this far. But... So then, the push in on us is to show that the dollar has no value because our government overspent their greedy asses and started playing with monopoly money. And so it's getting called out. And so that whole thing has to get exposed. And, so however the collapse of the money is going to go down, it's, keeps being pushed in that direction and being pushed hard. And so that was one of the things. Okay, so did I complete that one? And then because there was some really interesting things that they were showing me about this learn. When I get blocked off like that, okay, well, whatever they will show me, because it has been so nonstop today with the this thing about the white, like us being created pod people. And I started watching this show. I had seen the commercial a couple times, and it's called Kindred, and it's on Hulu, but it's off FX. Honey, just lay down. My Lord. See, when animals start acting weird, man. And there's a whole thing about the fog, and there's a whole prediction about the fog, and there's fog that is encased such a huge amount of it's like all the way Canada down to Mexico is in this weird fog, and when you go out and touch it, it is like some sort of jelly. It's like the fucking Scary Movie, and I just was watching that the other day. And in that fog, this was a newer version, and there was aliens or some kind of creature. No, they were ghosts. They were old ghosts in it. They were like demons or whatever. Okay, so back to all the Watchers. So to me, from what I understand, and I don't know if it's fear that builds this or that people know more stuff than I know, because everything is on your own understanding. Just like when, people talk, I notice it all the time. The stuff I can say, people can think they understand what I'm saying. There's something else. Like, I can tell because of how something is said back that they didn't understand what I was saying, because it is so much about understanding. It's about frequency. It's about wavelength. It's about it has nothing to do with anything other, like, however we would communicate as beings wouldn't matter. You would still have the problem in the understanding due to somebody's frequency, somebody's wavelength. So that is how, oh my Lord, have mercy. That is how it is determined, because I have been paying attention to this. I've been really trying to figure it out, like, while I've been trying to communicate to people. And I got to the point even today where it was like, I can't play along, like, at all. And it's like a totally separate reality. And and I've struggled with this the whole time, but it is, Stella, will you stop? But I have reached a point where it's like, no, this is fake. This is phony. I can't play and act like I can't give this anything. Like, oh, my one daughter, these conversations, because she's so stressed. Oh my God. All about three-dimensional stuff, about work, about this, about that, all. Stella, stop. And I don't know what she can hear. All three-dimensional stuff. And it's like, that is all ending. You don't have to sit and stress about your credit score. You don't have to stress about if you would pay attention, if you would go and really try and understand what's happening on the economy, which is another thing. So the absurdity that just keeps building it's building to such a force right now that Jill's wreath that she put out on their door is a goat head. So, this stuff is so fucking ridiculous. In the WEF guy, he has come out and said, what was it? It was something so absurd, where it was like, oh my God. And all this stuff is to get people's attention, because it's always that wow factor. That's how the human psyche apparently works. And so that is like what they're using for the awakening, is all this like that. So that's why stuff is so absurd, because it is supposed to catch people's attention, but people are so deep in this MK Ultra. But there's a whole thing behind it too with us. I swear it is something like we were like they're super slaves and stuff. And then in this show, this Kindred, so it's off of Hulu. It's off of FX, and I'm watching it on Hulu. And it is so fucking cool. I really, really like it. It's kind of like Outlander, because she keeps going back in time. And at first I thought she just had this reality. I thought she just was in a house that had a portal. And she was just jumping time and realities and stuff like that. But it is something different than that. It has something to do with generational connection. And this pull, it is almost like she has to keep being pulled back into the past to save herself. So it's got this whole time traveling aspect. It's really super, super cool. But it has, she keeps going back to this time during slavery. And so some of this stuff that, like, one of the things when they put on these shows and they try and make a whole thing where they say words that are inappropriate, like, there's certain words in our language that a lot of us don't have in our heads spinning around. And you go watch this show, and then it's every other damn word. It's no wonder these kids that listen to the damn rap music, they get all like, bah, it's like mental. And in these shows, they just keep saying it. And then it's like you go in and start cooking, and then you hear this in your head, and it's like, oh my God, this is programming. They're programming all the time. I can see how the programming works. And but we are like some sort of AI machine. We are some sort of sub creature from the original like all the way back in the beginning, whatever it was that they did to, mess with the animals to create the people. So they did the hybrid mixing thing. Then whatever they did at that point, then ever since they've been trying to make their super soldiers, their ultimate slave, and these mindless creatures that are easy to dangle sparkles in front of them and get them to chase it. This war on one another's, like when you really break down and see like why people fight and how they fight, what they fight about and stuff like that, and how much it's all about insecurity and ego. And it is it's like it's still to the point of like cavemen that don't know how to have a higher minded way of working things out. And in those shows, oh my gosh, it is really weird. One of the things with their relationship and how it has to conform to the times, because she ends up starting being able to take somebody with her. And that is a whole thing is cool. There's a bunch of cool stuff in that show where I was really liking that show. But one of the things that was really standing out, well, it's just trippy how they layer this stuff in, how they bring you certain things. But so I'm watching it, and it's really standing out to me these white men, these old white men, and they were all so like you could see how they were like super soldiers. How if you wanted to go in and take over, like the colonizers or whoever you want to call these people, when they wanted to come and take over different land masses, and I don't know if they got confined by only a certain group under the firmament or whatever. And then the challenge for spirits, for souls to come in, is to see if they can remember, I think if you can remember when you've got all of this stuff telling you to distract you, like the story of, what is that? Is that Peter Pan or something? Or is it Pinocchio? But the journey to self with all of the distractions, I think it's even the story in the tarot cards. But that is the journey of life. Can you find yourself with all the distractions? Do you go, and any of us who are honest, who have lived some time, we've been through, like we've definitely been distracted. I've gone and done all sorts of things, and those are the dark parts of yourself that you have to face. And once you start realizing this is, the journey, it's just, there's nothing that makes you good or bad. That is the story that they sell you to control you. But that isn't the true nature of the soul. There is no good or bad. And that is like why, to me, it doesn't make any sense how the people get so scared and stuff. But see, I don't know. We got to see. People are saying like, a lot of people are acknowledging that we're surrounded right now. This one person was just saying, anything you think you can get away with right now, you better just think again, because your ancestors are all around you. Like everybody's all around us right now. And I have been saying that too. Like I could feel it, and it doesn't feel threatening. Like when one time when the man in black guy was here, where it did feel threatening. None of this feels threatening. It just feels like what I was saying, how I was, the energy I was getting back was, it is like an observation, and it is like an understanding on like a scientific kind of thing. Like even when I said how it seems like they gather around in the bathroom when I go in and like I'll start brushing my hair, brushing my teeth, like, and I think that we put out a certain vibration when we tune into ourselves for self-care. I think that there's a whole component too, that is why we need to take that time and that energy just as grounding and all of that stuff. So, and it's probably why they want, us to focus on other things. But there always is like, it seems like they gather around, like you're in there doing stuff. You're just sitting there like, oh, and it's like all these faces peeking around. What's she doing now? What's she doing now? Like, but it's not, it's like a curiosity of like, of how we work. And it isn't like us separate from them as humans. It's as the avatar. And that the whole thing about the souls, how souls interact, like when you're awake, when you're not awake, how you interact, like all of the things is just like all being watched. Like the science experiment isn't just here. It's the whole galaxy. And so, anyways, when it was showing in this show Kindred, and it was showing these men, and I was thinking about how, they go in and they took over these native lands from these people, and how I had already been saying, like, go and all these different people who keep speaking out about the crimes against their tribes and humanity. You don't see any white tribes, not a damn one. Like all the people are dark. And then when it was right in our face, because that war that we are having this mirror to right now, that was supposed to be a big part of our awakening. And then when I have that information, and then I was thinking about, I mean, there was a whole thing about genetic and the cleansing, and getting rid of a whole group of people and stuff. And so, like, that was already a seed, a giant seed was planted, and how those people, they didn't go away. They got jobs in our science here in America, where everything was growing. And then once they started doing that, everything started going down, start going the other way, because they had an agenda, a global agenda of this cleansing. And it's like they want to cleanse the last group, because their focus is creation of these white, like, droid kind of people. And you can see how some of us were still able to awaken our soul, while others are struggling. And when I talk, like when I was talking to my daughter and stuff, and I can say things, I know she's not hearing what I'm saying. She's not understanding some of the words I'm saying, because she isn't spiritually enlightened to that point of understanding. And you say some things and they don't understand. But see, there starts becoming this gap, because no matter what they all think, this isn't by choice. I'm not choosing to be a certain way. Like, they all think I'm choosing to be crazy. I'm choosing to talk about this. I'm choosing to look at this. I'm choosing. No, it is like I'm taken over by my Holy Spirit or something. Like, I don't know. I don't understand how this all works. But it isn't like a choice. It isn't like how things are brought to me and what they're shown to me. Even if I go put on the most random thing, it's brought to me, because it has something specific that they're showing me, that they're just talked about it. And not every single thing is about this stuff. Some of it is about my own personal stuff too. And I'm telling you, this other stuff is what keeps me afloat on my personal. Because in the what is that called? In the 3D, in the not public, God, I've said this word so many times. In the I keep seeing it and I can't grab it. In the it'll come in. But that there is in their world, I'm totally crazy. And in that world, there's a lot of stuff, that I talk about that isn't in their world. They're not seeing that yet. Like, even when I was talking to one of my daughters earlier, and I said something about the money thing, and she was like, "You've been saying this for so long and nothing has happened." It's like, you guys, they say this to me over and over and over. And it's like, you guys think like it didn't happen last weekend, like it's not going to happen. It's still going to happen. It's not going away. However it gets drug out, it is going to happen. And, it's weird. But even when I talk about spiritual things and stuff like that, they don't, like, the one daughter, like, she's trying to understand more soul stuff, but it's really hard to wake up when you don't have it. And there's something, I know it has something about our genetic coding. It has something about whatever they were tracking when they were trying to get everybody to send in their DNA. There's and then, all of a sudden with this sickness, and there's total attacks on certain genetic coding on this sickness, 100%. And there is so much. Oh my God, there's so much with this sickness, and everybody just rebounding, and then this weird stuff with the atmosphere and stuff, like everything is building up and it all keeps coming out. I wish I could think of exactly what that WEF guy said, because it was so fucking absurd. And then right after that, and I see, the Twitter frenzy over Jill's satanic wreath. I can't even remember what it has. Some sort of writing with this goat head thing, and there is just so much stuff with the absurdity, and so much, like, people going out, and I mean, there are way more people now going out and realizing the snow's fake, and looking for the sun, looking for the moon, looking at the cloud, like all of that stuff. Like, there's so much of that, and the baby lab thing, I mean, that is all over the place. And that is going to have to be where that's going to intersect with the people, so they understand, because they're trying to promote it as this great thing, of course, for especially people with fertility problems, and especially like right now where they've created all these fertility problems. And it's all part of the acceptance of this practice of this lab-created babies. But we already know, because the science magazines a few months ago were talking about the ethics behind baby growing labs, and the practicing, there's a reason why they're doing it. They're not doing it so we can grow a baby. Like, are you kidding me? And look at the extreme measures they will go to. They'll make sure everybody's can't have babies, so they can push their agenda, so that they can just have, they grow their babies and experiment on them, and then put them in the blender and feed them back to us. So it's like, oh my God, it's so warped. But while all these people are saying, about demons and stuff like that, and then you get the people who are like, you're creating it. Well, to me, it's not like you can create it for yourself. You're not creating it for me. You're creating it for you. So, you create it, but you're building it up. You're building, it's all just about fear. You start feeding the fear, and you build that up. You create the whole thing, but it doesn't mean it's affecting everybody else. It's your creation, and it is, it's your manifestation. It's your life. It is your perception. It is how you see things. So, and I just know, like, people could hear those things and think and hear them a certain way, because you can take those words and see them and hear them a certain way, but then you can also take them and see them and hear them a different way. And that is the thing, that is all based on frequency and understanding, and we're all at different frequencies. And I'm not sure how it's all going to go as people awaken, especially when you start seeing, like, man, I knew when I watched Westworld, it just gave me a weird feeling. Even, and another thing. So after I had just said that about Michelle Pfeiffer, and just noticing, like, how strange, like, she seriously, like, I was looking at her, I was like, this doesn't even look like her. This looks like, like a better version or a newer model or something. Like, it looked different. And I was thinking, well, maybe she's a good guy. I mean, no, when you've got a black child and you're together with a writer, director, producer, whatever all, that David Kelly does, that, he's very much a working person. So, and whatever that whole thing is with the black kids, there's a whole thing about that. And I don't understand, I seriously, I don't get it. I remember when they pushed it and they just made like, oh, there's all these African kids and all these kids in all these other countries and all these rich actors are so nice to go and adopt them. But then when you start learning about all the other stuff, it's like, okay, that's a little shady. It's a little weird. But anyways, so somebody else was talking about Simon Cowell, I think his name is. He's like that a rude music guy, but he that how weird he looks. And then they were going through and showing a whole bunch of things where I was like, I think they might have been talking about cloning, but then I started thinking, oh, maybe they're rolling out some replacements like right now, because that is what it was. Very Stepford Wife. Like, you can go in and watch the interview. It's new. Like, I got to think of whose show was she on. Oh, Jimmy Fallon. So it was Jimmy Fallon's show over the last couple days, I think. And she's talking about some movie or some Ant-Man or something that she's in. And I don't know if that's a new movie or whatever, I'm assuming. But anyways, when you see her, it's like, man, there's just something looks weird. Like, doesn't look like her. And I was like, well, okay, well, maybe she got surgery. But then this, like, no lines on her face. Or it's like almost like this plastic. And so many of them do that. They start turning into this weird face. But, maybe it is. There's more. There's always more to it. Especially, like, this whole thing about, like, if we are this created, like, everybody's created. Like, no matter what. Everybody was somewhere created. But so, but us, we were created for a certain thing, which, I mean, most of the people, I think, always are. So, we were just kind of like, where I had said they were kind of like whitewashing people or something. They were like taking out the color. And that is something that was talked about back then, this thing about color and blonde hair and blue eyes, like they were trying to make the perfect Barbie dolls or something. And then this whole thing with this WASP, this white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and then there's battle with over religion and stuff like that. And then using their super soldiers back then, if they put out their super soldiers to go in and conquer. And my phone is going crazy. Go in and conquer the original people, the indigenous people. Go in and conquer them, and then start planting their seed. And then they start growing humans in the lab and sending them out, and all to try and get us more controllable. And I'm not saying, like, there's not people of all different ethnicities that are, all sorts of people are asleep, not just white people. But I think the part of the thing of their development with the white people has something to do with trying to make us stay asleep, to be more controlled or something. Like, they were creating like this worker bee. This is what this guy was talking about, like these worker bees. And so, like, in their world or something. And then you can see, like, when I talk to my daughter, and she's so sick, I got to get to work. I got to get to work. I got to get to work. And it's like, your job's not going to matter that much longer. I got to get money. I got to get, it's like, it is like a worker bee. And then, I'll go and see that video and it will show me that. And then it's like, oh my gosh. So that is like the science of communication, where they're like telling you stuff and showing you stuff, and then they'll give you more information about it. They'll just build and build and build on whatever it is they're trying to get you to understand. It's not like they're going to do that on everything. It's what they want you to get you to understand. But today, I kept trying to tell my daughter, she kept asking me, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I was like, you have to ask your soul, what are you supposed to do? You have to ask you, not somebody else. I can't tell you like what you can do, because then it is my thing. These are your lessons. This is your experience for you to grow and learn from. This is your consequences. You have to make your own choices on everything. Nobody can tell you what to do. It doesn't matter, what it is. If you sat there and waited too long to go to the bathroom and you pissed your pants, that's your consequence. Everybody, every little thing has a consequence that you have to experience. So then you learn, like, well, I probably should go a little faster to the bathroom, you know? And so, I'm always like, you need to ask your soul. And that's where she's like, I don't understand. How am I supposed to do that? What are you talking about? So it's really hard for this soul to awaken and find, it's like, for them, for the connection between the mind and the heart, because your soul is in your heart. So for the two to meet, that is the connection. Like the mind, body, spirit, is the connection, and it has got to be purposeful. And people get triggered to do it. Like a lot of people are getting triggered right now because the evil is being so present. It's showing itself so much. It is pushing you into making a choice, and what feels better. Like it's hard to imagine that there would be people choosing evil at this point, because it's like pretty disgusting. But so it is hard when people don't hear. And so that is why sometimes some of the stuff I'll talk about, it's like what people will say to me or something, and it's like, it is difficult to find that communication, and it is a practice. It is, it's like going into the gym and, you just woke up from a coma you've been in a coma your whole life. And then you got to go to the gym and work out and get all buff or built or whatever, So it is hard. It's work, but all that stuff is real. All this stuff with telepathy. I've had so much confirmation on so many things in the physical. That's what I was trying to say earlier. So in the physical, I do have a communication, I believe, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. At any point, it could be that I'm crazy. I don't fucking know. I know. But it's just weird that this stuff, like, they'll tell me things and I'll think, like, that sounds crazy, but okay, I'm going to talk about it, because the way they'll show me, I was like, fuck, that makes so much sense. And then I'll go and I'll listen, and it'll be like this person talking about this person talking about it. It's like we're all getting this information from somewhere, or the urge or the nudge to go look at this stuff or see it. And, and I don't know if that is part of what we have to awaken to. And I think, that is a thing too with Westworld showing that. But that just tripped me out when I tried to watch that show, because it just felt like that. It felt like consciousness in these avatars that are been so controlled, that have gone through so much trauma, and all of a sudden realizing that they're more, that they can be more. And so many people have such a hard time understanding that they can be more. That is going to be a hard shift. That is becoming more and more clear. The people just don't understand how to take care of themselves. It's so foreign. And, they did create a society of this droid dependent, and not dependent just on welfare, dependent on having a job and having something to chase, a carrot to chase. It's a dependency to the point where, some about your health, and instead of trying to get healthy, just go down and spend all your money all month getting pills. Like, some of the stuff is just absurd, but people don't stop and take the time to look into it, because they've created like these zombies that don't think for themselves. And it is a challenge when you have to wake up from that and you have to start working at it. But all of this stuff, the telepathy, is like you can just tap into an energy. And tapping into an energy is just a focus on an energy and you will like know about it. Like you can hear it, you can feel it. You just know stuff about it. And after I was talking about that, then I went on and I heard other people saying the same thing. I was like, I know I'm not crazy. I know this stuff is real. And it is happening. And, and however it is that they bring me stuff, always to give me some sort of confirmation about things. But there was some other stuff I wanted to say too. Okay, so there's more stuff going on with this war thing. So that's definitely being pushed. The money thing. And it seems like it's kind of merging in together, that they're going to come to this thing. But Joe keeps running from the thing. But now it's like this whole information thing is just being all over Twitter, I guess, where everything about the laptop is, they're telling everything right there. So, you know, I think that is part of the reason why, if Elon was bad or if he's an AI person. I mean, there's people saying he's an AI person, he's not even human, but I kind of think that that is what we all, and there may be some of their ones. Maybe Gators is some sort of more high Android person. Maybe that's why some of these people just sit there smiling like in this creepy kind of way, as they know that they're just mass murdering because they don't have any feeling, because they're more, you know, a lot of those people where people were like, they're like robot people. Well, that's what they've been creating. So I think that they, you know, maybe they've been some that are more successful, because it's hard to imagine that Fauci has a soul, you know what I mean? Like, that guy is like a creepy droid. But I think that that is what they've been kind of doing with us en masse, like as a white person. And that it goes on, as far as I'm concerned, if you are not of like, we all are connected. Like, no matter if we're playing this part here, we were the people who were there during the other part, like the original people. You know, it's like how I had talked about, like the soul and going full circle and stuff like that. So the tribe people. So if you are, you know, connected and genetic lineage there, then I think, you know, you're probably some sort of lab created person. I mean, and right now they're doing it right in people's faces. You know, we can create 300,000 kids in one lab. It's like, what in the hell do you need to do with that many? Like, for testing and food. And then when they're putting out, this really grossed me out too, because they've been putting out about how like one dead person can feed so many people. Like, they want us to donate our family members so that they can feed the hungry now for climate change. So then, and that's what they'll do with those babies. They'll just start growing food and feeding it to us, and we better just get used to it. Yum, yum, yum. And man, it really disrupts me on my thinking when that happens. And then I wonder, you know, is that being done on purpose too? So when they create the little lab, oh, what was that? Damn it. Create the little lab, or the, whatever, damn it, I don't know what it was I was about to say. But anyways, they would be making money. I mean, it's just, oh yeah. Okay, so there's some woman, I think there's a few people, but because I keep running across these, but some people who have lost massive amount of weight, because a lot of people start losing a lot of weight during, you know, start taking their health into their own hands at the beginning of 2020. And some of the people were morbidly obese or whatever it is, when you, I think if you're a couple 100 pounds over your weight, then you get a lot of skin. So they've got a lot of skin, and so people are going in and getting it cut off. So somebody did this picture or this video, and it showed the, it was disgusting. It looked like a fucking dead person laying there. So, God, I'm wheezy. Hers was the front thing. And so they cut all that off, and it was laying on this big thing. And then they got this video, and it looks like a dead person flayed open. But when I saw it, I had to flick past it really quick, because I was like, oh my God, the doctors who are doing this, what are they doing with this stuff? I'm, you know, people think like, well, I don't eat meat. Yeah, exactly. They were putting it in everything else. Like, and people are starting to see now, like, oh, so people who don't have these are dying, but they're thinking it's all from the shedding. It's all because all the stuff is being poured on us all day long. There's more than one way of transmission into the human body, and they're using them. It's going through our eyes. It's going through our ears. It's going through our noses. It's going through our mouths. It's going into us in all ways, not just in that way. And so it's just that people who got those, some of them are having a lot more effects way faster because they have such a huge load. But we all have the same shit. Then we all have the same stuff. Our pets have it. You know, our plants have it. It's in everything that we have. It is, you know, it's part of whatever, you know, how this is working, whatever they're doing to, you know, go out with a bang, you know, by just this destruction of, you know, oh, that is what one of the WE guy thing, he said that there is no, that Jesus is a big lie. All that was made up, big lie. And another thing, too, there's got to be some stuff, you know, that's going to be getting people's attention. Because there is, you know, more stuff where, you know, with the religion stuff. Because it's going to be the same as the medical. I mean, religion was created to control people. And so, you know, all of that stuff. So there was more stuff with that. But he said something else. It might have been about a religious thing, too. And then right after that, and then I saw Jill's wreath. And so all of this just really hardcore, absurd stuff is, you know, coming out. What was that he said? That there is no... Oh, God is dead. That's what it is. God's dead. They've killed God. And like, well, I think... but that, when some of this stuff he was saying, I was like, oh, so maybe he is a good guy. Who knows? Because, I don't know. If some of them, they get, and it seems like some of them get an opportunity to turn things around. And when you're trying to say something that is so outrageous, you know, because you got to notice the quiet ones, the ones that are hiding, and then the ones that are being outrageous, saying outrageous stuff. Some of the most outrageous stuff that is said is to wake us up. So the ones trying to wake us up is one side. The other side's trying to keep us asleep and hurry up and just kill us. Like, they're not even, I mean, I guess they're making as much money as they can off of us while it's going down. But right now, the stuff with the hospitals and stuff has gone completely crazy. And there's a lot of hospitals and stuff you can't get in to any of them. There's no employees and stuff. Like, everything is going haywire. Like, the system is going to continue to go haywire. And then you can keep seeing people who are talking about their horrible experience at a restaurant, their horrible experience at this, at that, all these different things that they keep trying to continue as life, you know, as they once knew it. But, you know, it's like everything is going to keep falling apart because life is changing, and they have to wake up so that they can start living consciously. But the ones that aren't ready to wake up, you know, it's just because, you know, their consciousness isn't that developed or something. Oh, and another thing, too, I've been talking to my one daughter all day. I've been watching the baby on the video or on the FaceTime. And oh my gosh, I can't even believe how much older he already looks. And he just is so cute. Oh my God, he's so cute. But we were talking about, she keeps talking about a lot of spiritual stuff. Like, now she is like really you know, she's not the TikTok spiritual anymore. Now she's talking about real stuff. But so and she was saying, you know what, when she was struggling and stuff, and then her sisters were constantly, you got to go get counseling, you got to get counseling. And she said, you know, I went and got counseling, and it doesn't do anything. She said they just don't realize it's all inside of you. You don't need to go to counseling. It's inside of you. And I was like, yeah, she totally, you know, was seeing, because it is. It's all inside of you. And once you see, then it all makes sense. Like, you don't have to do anything except for have the time to yourself, to develop yourself, to spend time with yourself, to spend time in that. And that's why they want to keep you as a worker bee. Because once you have time to spend on you, you become a queen. And they don't want you. They don't want to have all these queens out here, you know, and they certainly don't want the queens to come together and, you know, to develop their own communities, so that, you know, they want to keep everybody fighting and keeping them small, you know. And there is a lot of people who, you know, I mean, you can see there's people who aren't ready for a more evolved, my phone is dead. So anyways, my phone is dead. So, but anyways, hopefully I finished some of this stuff. But some of those things I want to say, I don't know. I'll try and listen to this back in the morning and see if I said everything. So maybe I won't jump around. But anyways, you know, I don't know about all the stuff with the watchers. Just, to me, don't be scared, but keep your vibration high. Like, yeah, you know, these people are saying, if you were down low vibration, they're just waiting to take you over. Like, I don't know. Just stay working on you and stay in a high vibration. And don't be in fear. Don't be in fear of all this stuff. Like, as people wake up, they're still really scared of a lot of the supernatural world. But the supernatural world's been around you the whole time, and nobody's hurt you. So don't be scared. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.